Hi everyone, I'm Yang. Welcome to Tea House, China Radio International's online video talk show. You can watch our program online at www.CRIEnglish.com and also enjoy Tea House via iPad. To watch it via iPad, you can press CRI Video. Then the teapot button down here to enjoy our program. To find the application, please search for CRI Video in the App Store. Holiday season is around the corner. First, I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Today, we're having a cup of tea with Miss LinZhong, the CEO and chef of the Fig Tree, the only pastry school for English speakers in Beijing. She will share her experience of being an entrepreneur in China and also share the secret of how to make New Year pastries for the people you love. First, please check out a short video.
Born in Shanghai, Lin immigrated to the US at the age of 10 and grew up in the East Village of New York City. During college, she was an exchange student in Kyoto, Japan, where she learned how to make Japanese food. It was during this time that Lin became fascinated with world cuisine. She pursued careers in headhunting and internet marketing and earned an MBA from Columbia University. Later she worked as an investment banker, but she never gave up her passion for all things culinary. A family move to London in 2005 is where she discovered French patisseries baking the freshest croissants. 3 years later, in 2008, she left her career as an investment banker and enrolled in London's Le Cordon Bleu 4-month intensive patisserie diploma program and never looked back. In 2009, Lin began drawing up designs for a pastry school, and 1 year later, the Fig Tree was born in Beijing, China.
Okay, hi Miss LinZhong, welcome to our program.
Hi Yang, thank you for having me.
And today I made a special kind of tea for you. I hope you like it. You can smell it.
Nice. Thank you very much.
The taller one is called Wenxiangbei, and the shorter one is called Tingyungbei, so you can share it.
It's fantastic.
I know that you used to be an investment banker in London. And what led you to Beijing and start the Fig Tree in 2010?
Actually, I was only an investment banker for a very short while, and it was for a bank in New York City. So that's why I came here, because my company sent me here to generate business. But quickly after I came here, financial crisis, and I really wanted to do something I enjoyed, because I realized I didn't actually enjoy doing investment banking. I didn't care to really follow the market or look at the stock prices, and it just wasn't really interested in that. So I was just looking for something that I wanted to do. It took quite some time for me to decide that it was pastry making that I wanted to try.
From the business perspective, how big the market is in Beijing?
I think it's growing actually, because aside from the expats, right, the foreigners and all those people, you also have a lot of Chinese people, whether they're returnees or they've just spent some time overseas. Once they've been exposed to Western style pastries, something always lingers in their head or back of their mind that they're craving for chocolate chip cookies or carrot cakes, and you can't really find that kind of stuff in Beijing very easily.
And as an entrepreneur, I can imagine you have met a lot of challenges. And what the biggest challenge you have ever met?
I think building this space, it took me a year to build out just the space for a Fig Tree. And it's kind of funny because I think if it weren't for the kind of mental state I was in from London, I wouldn't have done it, because looking back, it's such a daunting task. I mean, it took me a year to put this space together. This is incredible. I think if I had to do it over again without that kind of mindset that I had, which is a very special mindset I had at the time. When you're in a new environment, when you're in a new country, right, and China is a very special place right now. I don't think there's any other place in the world that's like China. I guess the biggest lesson is that you just have to understand that you have to assume you know nothing coming in. Don't assume anything. Don't be mad, why isn't this that way, why isn't that that way? Just take it that it's not. That was frustrating because everything I had to do, it's not what I expected it to be. And I was so frustrated with, oh my gosh, why is it so difficult just to get something simple done? Well, that's what you need to know coming into China if you're not familiar with the country, that don't expect anything to be what you assume things should be.
From your experience, what do you think are the differences of doing business in US and China?
Well, I think in the US we're really, really spoiled. All right, because the system has been running for over 200 years and it's had a lot of opportunities to optimize, right? So things are pretty running smoothly. I'm not saying things are 100% perfect, right? But all the major glitches have been worked out. I mean, obviously we still have many lawsuits and many legislation changes, so that's just testament that the system keeps optimizing. But here, I feel like that hasn't even started yet, right? Because for the last 10, 15 years, China is just starting to have economic growth, and now we're really just coming to a point where all these issues have to be fixed. There's so many different issues, right? And where do you start? And I think there's really no process to resolve any of the issues rationally. I think that's the challenge China is facing as a country. But I think for an entrepreneur, you're kind of stuck here, with all these things that don't work, with all the processes, all the regulations, none of this stuff works, and you're still trying to make a profitable engine here. That's really, really tough. Nobody even cares anymore why certain regulation is that way, because we just assume that things are just broken and you just have to figure out how to work around it or work with it or whatever. I talk to so many of my friends who are entrepreneurs, and we spend so much time trying to figure out how to do really simple things in the US. We spend most of the time worrying about how to get a company registered, and that's crazy, right? In the US, it takes like 2 weeks, $25, you got a company, you can start doing business now. Here, it takes 2 years and thousands of RMB, and you still don't have a company. So it's stuff like that that's bogging an entrepreneur down, so that you can't focus on product development, you can't focus on operational marketing.
And what are suggestions to those people who also want to start a business in China?
I think most people are reluctant to talk about the problems and the issues. I think it's tough to really understand what's happening here, and things are changing so quickly, right? And I didn't actually read too many books about China because I thought, hey, why should I read a book written about China by an American? What does he know? What would he know about China that I wouldn't know? I'm gonna go do my own research and find out. I think if you were really smart, not like me, you would do your own research. And I think a lot of the books written by these authors are actually quite realistic, because I rejected all of those books thinking that, hey, I'm bilingual, I can understand the system, I actually speak the language, and I can understand it way better than foreigners.
And why did you start a pastry school and name it the Fig Tree?
Well, the fig tree is a very interesting fruit to me. It symbolizes tradition and origin. It's one of the oldest fruits in the world. It has biblical connotations. It's the forbidden fruit, not apple. It's the forbidden fruit that Eve ate in the Garden of Eden, the fruit that the serpent gave to Eve. Right, so, and it's a great tasting fruit. If you ever, tasted fig, I think you'll have an appreciation for the fruit.
What's your short-term plan for your company?
To be honest, this is the next stage, and I haven't actually finished thinking about what we're going to do, because there are a lot of things at stake. And we've been here 3 years. We spent 1 year constructing the space, and then 2 years trying to figure out what is the business model. But we're at a point where our lease is up in a few months, and we don't think we can stay, so we're probably going to have to move and figure out what's going to happen next. So I'm still thinking about what's going to happen, and I'm probably not even going to be in Beijing.
I know that to make pastry is a long-time interest. You even go to London to learn it professionally. And you must be fascinated about this so that I can do this. Later we will talk about the art of pastry making after a cup of tea. Hello everyone, I'm Yang. Welcome to Tea House. Today we're having a cup of tea with Miss LinZhong, CEO and chef of the Fig Tree, the only pastry school for English speakers in Beijing. Now we're talking about the art of pastry making. Hi, Miss LinZhong, welcome to our program.
Hi, Yang Yang. Thank you.
I wonder, why are you so fascinated by pastry making?
When I was in London, I think the French are just crazy. You know, when they come up with these recipes and methods for making pastries, you have to look at it and you say, wow, someone actually sat there and whisked the eggs or cooked the sugar syrup until it's 116, 118 degrees. You have to just be amazed about what the human experience, human knowledge has created in terms of these just products. When you eat them, you don't realize how complicated it was to make them, but when you start making them, you're like, wow, how did they figure that out? That you could just do that with chocolate or do that with sugar. It's a really fascinating topic for me, and I'm still amazed at what people can do with sugar and eggs and chocolate and flour.
I believe that you have made a lot of pastries till now. And what is your favorite pastry?
To eat, it's actually quite simple. It's cream puffs. And it's actually not too hard to make. It's doable. And I think many varieties you can make, right, for the filling. And it's very simple. It's just the shell and the filling, right? But the filling, you have so many different options and flavors that you can incorporate. If you want to make a oolong tea flavored filling for it, you can totally do that. You can even make a savory or salty filling with cheese and meat and whatever. So I love cream puffs.
And what life lessons have you learned from pastry making?
Making pastries, it's basically like life. I think the kind of person you are in life determines how good a pastry chef you can be. If you're honest and you're the kind of person who can look at your own faults, shortcomings, and mistakes openly, then you can be a great pastry chef.
Are there any principles of making pastry that can be utilized in daily life?
I think pastry makes you a totally different person. You become very aware of the small things in life that have impact everywhere. Right? I think in pastry you really do realize that even the smallest change, the smallest difference makes a gigantic impact in the final outcome. And I think most people don't realize the things that we do, the extra light bulb that we forgot to turn off, right? So it really makes you very, very conscientious of everything you do every day.
What is the secret of making good pastry?
Well, number one, you have to know what taste you're trying to achieve, right? So with that in mind, then you can try to find recipes and tweak the recipes or modify the recipes so that it becomes the product that you're trying to make. Recipes is really critical. Probably in China, people don't appreciate as much the value of a good recipe. I think there's also a good percentage of people in China don't even understand that pastry making is a very precise scientific formula, that if you just change the slightest thing, it completely changes the end result. Right? So respect for the precision of recipe is very, very critical.
Wow, New Year's coming. What is your New Year resolution?
I think for me, for 2012, it's going to be a year of change. So I'm going to try to take it easy and not put too much pressure on myself, and knowing that it's a long process. Right? I know what I want to do. I think I'm pretty good at it. So the question is, how do I take it to the next level?
I wish you good luck. And why not teach us to make a simple kind of pastry after another cup of tea?
Okay, we'll do it.
Hi everybody, I'm Yang. Welcome to Tea House, China Radio International's online video talk show. We are having a cup of tea with Miss LinZhong, the owner of the Fig Tree, the only pastry school for the English speakers in Beijing. We are going to learn how to make the New Year pastry for the people you love. Hi, Miss LinZhong. I really can't wait to learn how to make the New Year dessert with you. What should we prepare ahead of time?
Well, we're gonna make caramel bananas today. You just need to get the ingredients out. So you've got some sliced bananas, not too thin, just thick slices, some butter, sugar, walnuts, and some liquor. It's optional if you want. But the quantity butter to sugar ratio is, the sugar is twice the amount by weight of the butter. So we have 125 grams of butter here and 250 grams of sugar. This is just white granulated sugar. And bananas, I think we have about 5 bananas.
Okay, and how many steps does it have?
I would say just one.
Oh, really? That's simple.
Well, you just cook. This is really more about cooking, right? So you cook the sugar, you add the butter, and then you add the bananas and walnuts, and you add a little bit of liquor, and that's it.
How long does it take?
Less than 10 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Please.
All right, so we have a frying pan here. You can use any kind of pan. You have to wait for this to heat up a little bit. So the key is you want to add the sugar in multiple additions. So you don't put all the sugar in there once. All right, you add it a little bit at a time, but the pot has to be pretty warm. So you can take a little bit of sugar and just sprinkle it evenly on the pot, on the pan, and see that it turns brown, meaning it's starting to caramelize.
Caramelize.
Yes, that's when sugar is cooked to a stage that if you don't stop the caramelization process, actually becomes charcoal in the end. So it's playing with sugar is a lot of fun, but it could also be dangerous. You got to be careful because caramel is very painful. It's at a very high temperature. So just a little bit of caramel splatter onto your skin, it's very painful. Actually, this is just a regular, what we call fine granulated sugar. In Chinese, it's 白砂糖. Yes, the sugar is beginning to melt, so we're gonna let it melt and it will gradually turn yellowish and then brownish. So when it starts to color, we can start to add a little bit more sugar.
I think not every family has butter in their kitchen. And what kind of butter should they prepare?
Actually, for this particular recipe, because when you buy butter, there's salted butter and unsalted butter. Okay, so normally when we make pastries, we always use unsalted butter, unless your recipe specifically calls for salted butter. Typically, most recipes for baking, for making pastries, call for unsalted butter. Okay, so it's starting to turn a little bit of yellowish.
Oh.
Okay, but there's still sugar, and you don't want to stir this, right? I have a spatula here. This is a heat-resistant spatula, but you don't want to stir sugar, okay? Because stirring sugar actually causes it to crystallize. So you see, I'm moving the pan in itself without actually. So when it starts to look a little bit yellowish, that means I can add a little bit more sugar to it, but not too much. Okay, as long as it's still continuing to melt my sugar, I can keep adding, but still very, very slowly, a little bit at a time. Okay, this is a process called dry caramelizing, which means there's no water in this. There's another way to make caramel, which is with some water. So you don't want to add too much sugar all at once. You're going to really just wait for the sugar to melt at an even temperature. Don't stir this yet until you start putting the butter. Do not use your spatula yet. Okay, now you can start sprinkling
Put on the yellow.
Where it's bubbling. Yeah, where it's bubbling. Yeah. Okay, and once you see how I pick it up a little bit, right? I pick it up because I don't want it to bubble too fast before all of the white crystals have disappeared, right? So I want to give it a little bit of time for the white crystals to melt before the bubbling part become too brown. If it's too brown, if it gets too dark, it has a very bitter taste.
Oh.
So you want to try to get it just even color. Golden brown is really beautiful. So at this point, I'm going to start adding, there's still a little bit of crystals left, right? But that's okay. I'm going to just add all the butter in. So be careful.